So good morning, children. So in today's class, we will be beginning with the second chapter of our civics. So which is nothing but, the union executive. Okay, let us try to understand what is this two words called executive and union. So here union refers to the central government. And what do you mean by executive here? Execute, executive means one who executes, that means one who performs. So generally in the previous chapter when you studied union legislature, there you understood that the law making organ of the government is parliament. So once the laws are made by parliament, there must be somebody to implement those things. So who are those people who executes or implements those laws? So they are referred as union executive. And the union executive is headed by president. So the picture which you are seeing here is the Rashtrapati Bhavan or the President Bhavan. Okay, so where the president stays. And why I'm talking about president here? The head of the union executive is the president. Understood? So the head of the union executive is president. Let us try to understand who is president and what are his qualifications, what are the other functions and other things in this chapter. So before understanding, president and other details of the president, let us see what kind of government we have. Are we having, you might be hearing many times in the news and other time that no, in America, the president will be very active in functioning. Whereas when you see India, here only Prime Minister will be very active and it assumes to be he is very powerful than President. Have you ever observed why America has President as a very powerful person and India has Prime Minister as a very powerful person? There is reason for that. So understanding, President and other details, let us see why India has taken such system. See, India, throughout the world, there are many types of government. In that, we have two types we'll take. One is presidential and parliamentary forms of government. So there are two types of government. One is presidential form of government and the other is parliamentary form of government. Among these two forms of government, India has adopted parliamentary form of government where people vote and the majority, decision of the people will prevail. And the person who got elected, the party which got elected later will elect the leader of the party as prime minister, and he will be, the active functionary in the government, or he is the highest functionary in the government. America also, same process. People also elect the president, and they adopt a different procedure there. So we have parliamentary form of governments and presidential form of governments. And in this, India adopted parliamentary form of governance, where the party which got majority vote share will elect the leader of government, who is nothing but the prime minister, and he will be the authority to function, to make the government function. And here in India, president will be nominal. That means he will be not having many powers, but he will be just for namesake as a figurehead, he will be functioning. So the role of president in India is very nominal. Understood? So here parliament is very active and effective. President is nominal. Whereas in America, the president is, very active and he is not nominal there. So let us try to understand the other other slides of the lesson now. So we started saying that executive is, present to implement the laws of the country. So, but in general, if you look at the structure of the government of India as per the constitution, everything is derived from constitution. So as per the constitutional terms, the structure of government of India is divided into executive, so legislature, and judiciary, right? So the powers have been divided among executive, legislature, and judiciary. So these three wings together will make the government of India. In this, today in our chapter, we are going to learn about executive. So we already made clear in the definition itself during the title of the chapter what is executive, which implements the laws made by legislature. So in India, legislature is, I mean, at the central level, the legislature is parliament, and parliament will make laws, and the laws made by parliament will be implemented by executive. And who will be there in union executive? There will be president, vice president, prime minister, and the council of ministers. Okay, here prime minister and council of ministers, they also come in the legislature. Understood? They come under the legislative powers there. Here also they'll come. So in the union executive, we have president as the head, then comes the vice president, prime minister, and the council of ministers. This is at the union level. If you look at the state level, every state, individual state like Andhra, Telangana, Karnataka, every state also, they also have this division of wings as per the constitution. They have their executive head as governor. Also, in the executive, they have the chief minister at state level with council of ministers. So at state level, we have governor, chief minister, and council of minister. At union level, we have president, vice president, prime minister, and council of ministers. So this is about the composition of the executive at union and state level. Then let us start with the union executive head. Okay, so he is not the real executive head. He is the nominal executive head of the country. We'll see why he is nominal and all later. The president is the head of the executive. So all the executive will function under the president. He is also the head of the state. Here state, the term state refers to country. So he acts as the head of the state, head of the nation, but he is only a nominal head. Nominal means just for namesake. Only on namesake he will be used. All the functions, all the laws, all the implementation of laws or making of laws is done on the name of president. Only president name will be used in all the making of laws by legislature. So in the implementation of laws also, they will implement the laws in the name of president. Only for that namesake, the president will function. Hence, he is called nominal head of the country. The real executive powers will be exercised by Prime Minister consultation with Council of Ministers. So, President is nominal, and if he is nominal and for namesake, then who is the real executive head? Real executive head is Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers. So in general, among them, Prime Minister will have more authority. He will be consulting with these ministers and he will be making many decisions for the nation. And the decisions made by them will be implemented through President of the country. And you can see our President Ramnath Kovind in the picture. So this is about the introduction of the President. So coming to the qualifications of election of president. So to become president, anybody should have certain basic qualifications. So some eligibility they require. So what are those qualifications? So to contest for election and to become president of India, one must have the following qualifications. And let us see that qualifications one by one. One is he must be a citizen of India. He must be the citizen of India. He must have born and brought up. He must be having citizenship of this country. So foreign nationals and foreign origin people, they are not having eligibility to contest as president candidate in India. So Citizen of India is a foremost qualification. And the second is they must have completed the age of 35 years. So 35 years of age should be completed by the candidate who is contesting for president election. So 35 years is the age. And he also must have qualifications necessary to be a member of Lok Sabha. So this is another important point. So what are the Lok Sabha qualifications? If you look at 25 years age, he should have, he must be a citizen of India, all such things. Why they made this Lok Sabha, as a qualification? See, if you look at president, he is part of parliament, right? When we studied our first chapter there, we said that the parliament consists of president, then Lok Sabha, then Rajya Sabha. So here president is also a part of parliament. So where we also discussed that he will not go and attend the houses, but he will give his signature to all the law, bills that comes to him from the two houses. During such time, he must have an experience about the parliamentary procedures, isn't it? Don't you think? If he doesn't know about the practices of parliament and how parliament functions or how Lok Sabha functions, he cannot, fulfill the duty of, signing the bills that comes to him. So he should also have a qualifications necessary to become a member of Lok Sabha. He must have served at least Lok Sabha few years. There are some exceptions to certain presidents. Almost all the presidents which were appointed, they had this qualification. Whereas, Abdul Kalam, if you take, he has never contested in any political and all, but later he was even taken as president, and he was our president. But he should understand how the parliament operates, isn't it? The bills that comes to him, he should have certain understanding of that. Hence, he has been given this qualification as point, and he must not hold any office of profit under the government of India. So under the government of India means he must not be a government servant. He must not have any job. He must not be having any job at the time of contesting. Understood? While he contests the president election, he should not be serving any government job, and that is the office of profit. So under government service, he should not have any post, and he should not draw any kind of benefits from government. So in such situations, or that is a very fixed criteria for the qualification of election as a president. So to contest this, must be a citizen of India, 35 years of age should be completed, must have a qualification of Lok Sabha member, must not hold an office of profit under government of India. So after understanding his qualifications required, let us see now how he is elected, how his election happens. So we said that India has parliamentary system of governance where we elect our MPs and our union government or prime minister and all. But how president of India is elected? Are we voting our president of India? No. So people of India will not vote for president directly. Then how they are electing? The president of India is getting elected indirectly. So what is this indirect term means? So here what happens? This indirect election is done through electoral college. So we'll understand what is this electoral college and indirect election. Suppose you know that people of India will have one vote, those who have qualified, and these people in turn they will vote their MPs, and also these people they vote their MPs and MLAs, right? So they will directly vote their MLAs and their MPs, and these MLAs and MPs who got elected by people directly, they will involve in the election of president. Hence, The election of president is indirect election. So I'll repeat again. People of India, they will vote their MLAs in state and MPs through direct election. They go and personally vote for their MLA and MP. This is called direct election. And the MLAs and MPs who got directly elected by people, later they will vote for the president. So they become the voters in president election. Who will become the voters? MLAs and MPs. So indirectly, the people are electing the president also. Hence the term indirect was used. By an electoral college. So what is this electoral college? The electoral college means it is a body or a group that is formed to elect president. So a body or a group of people who come together and elect president. And whom do they have? What do this electoral college consist of? It consists of elected members of both houses of parliament. What are both houses of parliament? Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. So the members or the MPs of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are included in electoral college. So electoral college includes MPs of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Elected members of legislative assemblies of states. So the electoral college also consists of elected members of legislative assemblies. So they are nothing but the MLAs. So MLAs of state assemblies. And third, elected members of legislative assemblies of union territories, Delhi and Puducherry. So wherever union territories are there, there also they have people will vote and they'll elect their MPs and MLAs. Sorry, MLAs there. So those MLAs also will be voters in president election. So all this together will be constituting electoral college. So group of people, who are those people? MPs, MLAs. They together form the electoral college and they will vote for the president through indirect election. So now coming to the term of office. So how many years a president will, he will be in his office? How many years he can function? The president is elected for a period of 5 years. So the president will have a term of office of 5 years. He is also eligible for re-election. See, there is no restriction that he can be only president once. He can be president, you know, any number of times and as decided by the parties. I mean, whichever candidate the majority party supports, he'll be becoming the president of India. So he is also eligible for re-election and he can resign from his office by writing to vice president. So if at all the president wants to resign from his office, he can do that by resignation, submitting a resignation letter to Vice President of India. So that the term of office is 5 years. Suppose if he wants to resign, he can submit his resignation to Vice President of India. And removal of the president. The president can be removed from his office for the violation of constitution. So removal of the president. See, you cannot simply say, ask the president can be removed just a simple way. The removal of president is a very, very, very complicated process and a very elaborate process. Before understanding why, his removal, why he will be removed, on what basis he will be removed, on the basis of violation of the constitution. He must be a person who is head of the constitution, and if he violates the constitution and takes decisions during such situations, he will be eligible for removal. and that removal process is called impeachment. What is it called? Impeachment. So what is this impeachment? The notice will be given in one. So who will be involved in the impeachment process? The parliament. So parliament will be involved in the impeachment of president. How? So in one house, a resolution will be introduced. Two-thirds should support and pass this resolution, and later, pass this resolution to the other house. The other house will investigate the charges on the president. What base? Here, president can even say his opinion, and if the charges are proved in the second house also, then the second house will pass a resolution with two-third majority, and after this, the president is said to be removed. It is not as simple as it looks. It's a very complicated process. Both houses should pass resolutions with two-third majority, and it's not an ordinary thing. So, in any of the house, the resolution can be introduced. The resolution means the process of removal of president can be introduced in any house of the parliament. It may be Lok Sabha, it may be Rajya Sabha. And once it is introduced, then it will go to other house. The other house will investigate, and if it is proved there, then the state president stands to be removed. And what are the salary, allowances, and privileges of the president? He is entitled to a monthly salary, and allowances will be there. So, as per the constitution, his salaries and allowances will be divided. He enjoys a rent-free residence, as I have showed you in the beginning of the slide, the Rashtrapati Bhavan where he stays, and he receives a pension after the expiry of his term. So once he, gets retired, once he finishes his term, during his retirement age, he'll also receive certain pension from the government. So this is about the term of office, the removal of the president, and his salaries, allowance, and privileges.